Everyone, back for another review, still in the anime genre, and this one's gonna be two OVAs in one. Back in the mid to late 90s, and even all throughout the 90s, really, fighting games were really huge. Arcade games would get ported over to home console, and eventually, since most of this stuff was being made in Japan, of course they're gonna bleed over into the anime section. And pretty much everyone got an animated movie. Art of Fighting had one, Virtual Fighter had one, Samurai Showdown had one, Street Fighter had one, and the one I'm doing today had one. There's a little backstory on this. The company called SNK made they basically own Neo Geo. Came out with a series of fighting games, and one of the ones that was their first one is this one. And since I'm going to be doing a review for both the first two OVAs for this series, it comes in a collector's edition DVD called Double Impact. No, not that Double Impact. Get that out of here. Anyway, on to this review. We're going to be talking about the Fatal Fury movies. The first one, called Legend of the Wolf, it's pretty much a revenge movie. What happens is a person by the name of Howard Geese, who was the first boss in Fatal Fury 1, sends out a hit on both Terry and Andy Bogart's father. And he gets help from a young woman by the name of Lily to help kill their dad. From there, the person who trained their dad, Master Tongue, informs both Andy and Terry that meet him in 10 years and he'll show them the secret technique so that they can defeat Geese. So basically both of them go out of their way to learn how to be better fighters, and then they have to come back. Eventually 10 years pass, they come back and meet each other, and before they can fight each other, Terry meets a gentleman by the name of Joe Higashi, who ends up joining him and Andy, and they both decided to join a tournament called King of Fighters, another game that will be made later on by SNK. And while in the tournament, Geese turns on them, or Geese happens to be running the tournament, and we go from there. This movie, or this OVA, it's only 45 minutes. It's pretty short and straight to the point. There's no really long scenes. It's not boring. It's way too weird for you not to be interested in it. It has the obligatory love thing going on for no reason. Literally, Terry falls in love with this girl named Lily, who he's only known for 24 hours, and who also helped kill his dad. But that's okay. Basically, the fights are all just literally one special move fights, except for like the last one, but that's pretty much it. It's really generic, wholly forgettable, but I will give it props to where most of the movies in this time, especially the fighting game animated movies, came into play. They had a freaking obsession with cramming all the characters into the movies. This one really didn't. It stuck with like 6 characters, and they all really served a purpose. That's about it. It's okay. If I had to grade it, 4.8. Nothing special, but nothing, you won't feel like you just got cancer after watching this. So let's go on to the second movie. The second movie is called A New Battle. Alright, The New Battle takes place literally a year after the first OVA. This one's a little bit longer. It's an hour and 5 minutes, hour 15 minutes, so it's almost movie length. Where the first movie was a revenge movie, this one is definitely a sports movie. This is literally Rocky. Any of them, choose one. Basically happens is Krauser comes out and decides that he wants to find out who defeated Geese from the previous OVA, and we find out that he's his stepbrother. And then he goes out of his way to find him. Where the first movie had short fights, this one had a little bit more drawn out fights, which were both okay and bad at the same time. There was really only one fight that had no reason being in the movie, kind of. There's a fight between Terry Bogard and Kim Capwan at the very beginning of the movie that really didn't have a purpose other than to help tell you the fact that Terry hurt his leg while helping at a construction fight. But once again, you didn't need this fight for that. But anyway, so he ends up meeting this a fan of his named Tony, who's an annoying little kid who's just literally there to root Terry on and to provide the usual kids sidekick tropes in these type of movies, sports movies especially. Eventually Terry gets into a fight with Krauser, the main villain. Krauser wins, and instead of killing him, and even though Krauser knows he was in a fight earlier, he doesn't, because the kid Tony explains to him that he got hurt in the fight with Kim Capwan. And then Krauser says, okay, let him know I'll be in Germany. I'll meet him there. He saw him in the fight. He mentioned it in this fight. Yet he still lets him go? Anyway, eventually Joe and Andy Bogart decide that they're going to go and get revenge on Terry. Terry, being angry that he lost, decides to become a non-fighter and starts drinking. From here, you know where it's going. He's in low self-esteem. Eventually, he gets it back, and then he goes on to fight. In this one, we're introduced to Maya, who really got the short end of the stick in this movie. She's supposed to be a competent fighter in the game. Here she's treated totally like a damsel in distress. She does get into a pretty nice fight scene with Lawrence Blood, but then loses, and throughout the whole movie she's kind of treated like a damsel in distress. From everyone from Joe Higashi to her own boyfriend Andy Bogart. It's kind of sad, and it's a good thing this movie wasn't released in this day and age. And it goes exactly where you go. We have the obligatory montage, the training sequence. I will say, like I said, some of the fighting scenes did get better, but most of them do rely on one special move, and then that's pretty much the end of the fight. I don't know what else to say. I will say this. This movie, unlike the Lone Wolf, actually got it correct, because for some reason the first movie, Andy's hair color is blue, and then in this one it's blonde like it's supposed to be. The Kim Capwan fight was pretty cool. Lawrence Blood versus Maya was pretty cool. The final battle was okay. It's one of those final battles where one person throws a special move, the other one does their special move, and back and forth we go. And that's, you know, there's not much else to say. It's not terrible once again. This one's actually a little bit better because it tries to have a little bit more plot, as cliched as it is. But, you know, it's not a complete and utter waste of time, so I'll give it a lot of credit for that. If I have to give this one a grade, it would probably be a 5, just for being average and not terrible. I'm not going to joke, there will be some people who will be angry at the Maya stuff because it is kind of chauvinistic the way she's portrayed. And this movie does have some weird parts in it. like it steals stuff from Rocky. There's even a Yoda sequence where Terry's sitting around the fire and he sees spirits of dead people. I won't say who because it's not worth it, and you will probably chuckle at it like, why? That's about it though. So 2 Fatal Fury movies down, actually 2 OVAs down. They actually have a movie, and I will be doing that pretty soon. That's it. These animes are hit and miss, especially these older ones. Both of these one came out in '92, one came out in '93. You can pretty much get them on in deluxe copies all together. Both movies for about less than like 19 bucks. So if you like fighting games, especially a lot of people who in 2000 and on know more about the King fighting games than the Fatal Fury games, you might get a pretty good chuckle out of these 2 movies. So until then, that's pretty much all I have to say. If you've seen this movie, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and I will be back again later with probably going live action. I like to go off and on between live action and cartoons and anime right now. So until then, later.